Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Trader Merlin Show. It is your Friday afternoon edition, trading week wrap up, and I have a fantastic bourbon here today, and it's really dark. You know, it's got a really dark color. Apparently, this one was aged in is aged in rum barrels, so has a darker flavor. Anyway, happy Friday, y'all. I hope you had a great week. Pretty great week for me. I mean, you know, you look at the grand scheme of things on how the market performed, obviously finishing at all-time highs. Long-term positions are going to do rather well. I went with a bunch of my, I showed you guys a bunch of my positions yesterday, so I'll show you how those concluded. And the gentleman who asked me to show you more about the trades, I love your response to what I showed yesterday, which was, can you show us the quantity of contracts and how much you made or lost? Now, I'll let you guys figure that part out, but I'll be transparent with my trades for you. So, cheers all, let's dive right into it. I have the graphic here. I was going to try to go a little bit simpler with the graphic today, so I had some guy crossing the finish line, and I said give it a financial theme, and this is what it looked like today. Pretty fun. Big Ev says, I like Circle today. Yeah, it's doing just what we thought it was going to do, right? The only issue is what happened with Circle is the time-tested thing about trading. You can be 100% correct. Absolutely 100% correct, but timing is everything. So I know for a fact that I am absolutely correct in saying that there's no way that Circle can justify a $300 valuation. Just not a chance on this great green earth. I don't care what happens with crypto at all. I still have the 120 puts. I doubt I'll get there, but yeah, the last couple days, you know, this thing from its peak on Monday to where we close today is down 36%. Sorry, I'll call it 40%. 40%. So I think there's plenty of room for it to go further. For it to get down, I mean, actually, I think I might have a pretty good chance of getting filled here, of getting in the money. I have approximately, how many trading days? 14 trading days left. It's got to drop another 33% from here. But remember, its IPO price was $31 was the open quote. It should have been 28. They bumped it up, but we'll see. We'll see if it gets there. I'm not going to put any more on the line on this one. I'm down 6K on it, and we'll see how this one bounces. Well, I'm presently down 6K on this. We'll see how this one bounces back. Big says, I have the hundreds, just need the right direction for another week or so. Yeah. You know, unfortunately, someone asked me about when that lockup period ends, because as we've talked about, 82% of all the shares are still on the shelf, right? Those won't get unlocked until the end of the year. So unfortunately, we won't get that selling pressure come in place. Right now, it's just FOMO. People just going nuts over the FOMO side of things. So let's talk about the most important piece of the day, which was that core PCE price index number. That, it wasn't like shocking. It wasn't anything like, oh my goodness, the sky is falling, but it did jump up. And in the argument that we're going to have, our little table here that I have going, which I should probably update for you guys, and I'll try to do that as we progress here. That 0.2% for the core PCE price index obviously is 0.1% higher. And if you notice, if we count back here 12 bars and go all the way back, you know, you're essentially dropping off of June's 0.1. So today, the annualized rate of inflation that the Fed is looking at, the core PCE price index, actually rose today from 2.6 to 2.7. So we ticked up just ever so slightly. And this may pose a problem for the Fed. Obviously, they've mentioned they are data dependent, right? Going to keep their data, their opinions on the data based off, or inflation based off of the charts. So let's go and update our scorecard, which I wasn't planning on doing today, but I will do that right now. Let me share that with you guys. So the scorecard I've got going here really just is addressing the possibility of the Fed cutting rates. Now, I have everything on the screen as green so far. What I don't know for certain right now is this one. This is 0.2 is what we increased to. The question for me is, do I keep this green? Because it still is relatively low. Remember, if you annualize 0.2, it's 2.4%, which is still in the Fed's wheelhouse there. I'm inclined to put yellow in this box. And the reason for that is fairly simple. Let's see if I can put yellow in this box. Let's make this fill yellow. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Apparently it's not letting me update the spreadsheet here. Let's go. I don't know why it's not letting me do that one. It just let me do the number. But I think I'm going to put this as yellow, because if this continues to move up, this will be a cautionary piece. It may prevent the Fed from lowering rates. Otherwise, if it was green, then maybe we'd have a good chance in that July meeting of them lowering rates, which of course the markets would love. They'd love to see that, rejoice, and to the moon, Alice. So for now, I'm going to change that to yellow. Unfortunately, I don't know why it's not letting me color code. I can do it here. Yeah, that's bizarre. I can't just do the one. All right, let's see if I can do this way. Paint bucket, fill. I may have to do this another time. I'm not sure why it's not letting me do it, but I'll change that to yellow going forward. And then, of course, we've got at the first week of July, so next Friday, we have the kickoff to our unemployment numbers, which, ideally would stay at 4.2%, therefore justifying rate cuts. Indigo says, I don't think the unemployment is accurate. So many students are graduating and can't find a job. Not sure they're in that number. Well, to be honest, Indigo, this is one of those numbers that everybody complains about. Like, everybody complains about the unemployment number. Like, who's counted, who's included, who's dropped out, are they still looking for jobs? And there's a whole series of different rates. Let's see, I'm going to go U3 rate. Talked about this a few times. John O'Donnell kind of got me into this one, the U3 versus the U6. Now, I don't really have much of a dog in this fight, but the government reports to you the U3 rate, which by the definition right here on your screen, the U3 is the total unemployed as a percent of the civilian labor force, the official unemployment rate, and that's at 4.2%. There's the larger part of the population believes it's actually the U6 rate, which is the total unemployed plus all people marginally attached to the labor force, plus the total employed part-time for economic reasons as a percent of the civilian labor force, plus all people marginally attached to the labor force, which I feel like I just said that twice, but that's about 7.8. That's the number, 7.8. Now, I don't know. I don't know what to believe here, right? I certainly don't know what to believe, which is with regards to what the actual unemployment number is. I feel like it's higher than what they're telling us, and I think that we would all agree that the government would like us to believe it's better than it actually is at all times. Even if it's good, they're still going to make it sound like it's better. And the reason for that is they want us to be, happy little piggies in the pen. So, yeah, I don't know if I believe it. What I am going with is the trend. So even if this is cooked, I'm keeping my eye on this data because this is what Jerome Powell and cronies will be modifying the rates based off of. That's what they've disclosed to us. So it certainly doesn't give us 100% accuracy, but honestly, who knows? We can't even, this is political here, but we can't even come up with an accurate 100% accurate number of the population in the United States. So you don't even know how many people are actually here. Now you're trying to tell me that you know how many people are actually working out of that number that you don't even know how many are here, right? There's always going to be things lost in the cracks, unfortunately. So, that's where we're at. I'll update this table, paint that a little one in yellow because I am a little bit concerned about that. And then next week, we'll get that first July reading of the unemployment rate. And hopefully, it comes in line at 4.2% and makes everybody feel a little bit better. Did you hear those stories about people complaining about who's going to cut my lawn, tariff problems? Yeah, there's... Before Blockbuster closed, I actually went to Blockbuster, and there was a movie on the shelf, and one of the clerks recommended it. It was called A Day Without Mexicans. And it's not what I expected it to be. I thought it would be like kind of a comedy about how you just sever all Mexicans from like California. So there's no crops getting harvested. There's no, lawn care, maintenance, construction workers are all gone. It'd be kind of comical to see how California in particular would function, because that's where I live, so I think I would see the impact greater. But the movie wasn't that great, by the way. I think they need to redo it. But yeah, or pick berries. One of the things that always cracks me up is they always say, well, they're taking jobs, they're taking Americans' jobs. I'm willing to bet you that there's not a person in this room right now, nor do you know a person who would love to go work in a field picking strawberries, backbreaking work all day for close to minimum wage. Like, no, I'm not. I have no interest. Welcome to the fields. Pick those berries. Do what you got to do. Incredibly hard workers. Yeah. Would I rather keep an incredibly hardworking person or a lazy legal person, or an incredibly hardworking illegal person, as long as they are, not a criminal? Or would I rather get rid of and deport a lazy legal citizen? Pretty easy in my book. Anyway, let me move on. Maybe America would not be so fat if they got... That's marketing, though, Big App. That's fast food stuff. That's fast food. We're supposed to be doing the button-clicking jobs. Well, we certainly do. I'm clicking mouse and keyboards over here all day long. All right, before I go down this bad rabbit hole and offend people, let's jump back into this. So, yeah, the U6 rate is what most people are looking at. There is a whole bunch of different economic data sites that say they have a more accurate reading of what inflation and unemployment and all these different data points are. So, Shadow Stats is one of the more popular ones. Let me see if I can bring that up for you guys here. I'm sure you've seen it. Shadow Stats. So you look on this one, and this is supposed to be a more accurate... Oh, shadow sites cannot be reached. Well, that's interesting. I wonder what happened there. Maybe they got shut down by the government for disclosing real information. Anyway, I'll leave that one alone. Let's continue on here with the materials that I had, at least a little bit of the materials I had today. The core PCE price index. So that ticked up just a little bit. It's not something that we need to be like, oh no, this is the end, but it certainly doesn't help the argument for a rate cut in July. And here is the probability of that right now. We're at 81% chance they're going to keep rates the same. I am in that boat. I right now would believe that September is the most likely point, and you can see it's the odds-on favorite right now. 75% probability we get our rate cut in September. That's the September 17th meeting, and that number has been growing for the past month. That's become the odds-on favorite there. Now, what about the end of the year? Which doesn't matter at this point, but more and more probability of 3 rate cuts. I don't believe we're going to get 3. I don't believe we're going to get 3. All right, next. How many of you heard Trump's comments today on Bitcoin? Did you guys hear Trump's comments on Bitcoin? I know a couple of you did. I mean, if you all did, great. If not, I'll play the clip for you. I'll try to censor it down because there's it's about a minute and a half, and I'll probably get a copyright block for doing it. But somebody asked him what he thinks about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and digital assets, and I was like, I'm interested to see what he has to say. Well, here is what the president has. Should I play the whole thing? It's a minute and 26 seconds. I think I'm gonna truncate it down a little bit, but here's what Trump had to say.
Well, it's a very funny thing, crypto.
Oh wow, this is a very low volume.
I got involved before I decided to run. I only decided to run because I saw what was happening, and Biden was incompetent, and the administration
All right, get past that.
And I was in Bitcoin then, not knowing if I was going to do it a third time. So it's become amazing. I mean, it's the jobs that it produces, and I notice more and more you pay in Bitcoin. I mean, people are saying it takes a lot of pressure off the dollar, and it's a great thing for our country. So I don't care about...
I'll leave it right there. It takes a lot of pressure off the dollar. It's great for our country. It brings in jobs. Look, I know that some of you love the man. Some of you hate the guy. I don't care. I'd give you all a hug either way, regardless of your political views. For me, as being a crypto person, this is what I want to hear, right? And I know some people love him, some people hate him. That's okay. We all have that right to... But even if I hated his guts with a passion... I got to look at him right here with his comments towards cryptocurrency and be like, all right, geez, I guess I got to agree with you on that, right? Because this is going to continue to push the digital asset innovation. And I'll tell you that at Trading Academy, when I built out the cryptocurrency program, I would argue that at least 50% of the decision makers at Trading Academy were like, we don't want to do anything with crypto. No, this is bad news. This is dangerous. It's a scam. It's a fraud. And I'm like, guys, my program is not created to promise you're going to get rich off of crypto. The program is built to educate people on how crypto works, to make sure that you do your due diligence or research and don't get stuck with Pepe coin or Melania coin or something like that that's a rug pull. Understand it like you'd analyze any other company, and then once you're informed, make a decision, because the technology is changing the future. In this interview, he goes on to talk a lot about the jobs it's bringing back in different market segments where specifically Bitcoin. I saw that comment come in chat there. Why not digital currency other than Bitcoin? Look, let's not rock the boat, right? This is, in my stupid analogy, which I'm very good at. I need another glass of whiskey for this one. In my stupid analogy, imagine you've got children, and your children, every time you cook a vegetable for dinner, they kick and they scream and they shout and they hate it and they throw a tantrum, right? Anytime there's a veggie on their plate. And now you put a carrot on their plate and they eat this carrot and they're fighting it the whole time and they eat that carrot and all of a sudden they go, wow, this is really good. Are you going to take all the vegetables they haven't eaten in the past and shove it on their plate and try to get them to like it? No. You've got them. The door is open for the veggies. So you start feeding them, oh, here's some broccoli, here's some Brussels sprouts. Maybe they start to like it. That's what I think we have to deal with President Trump. Let's get him on board with Bitcoin, which he already is. And he's already talked a lot about other digital assets. The main reason is Eric Trump, his son, is heavy in crypto. I believe he's taking the Trump fortune and loading up on crypto because Trump will guide the path of digital assets towards where Eric Trump and his businesses are lining up. So, thanks, Ken. It was a weird one. It just popped into my head. Like you don't want to push too much. You should just be grateful that kid is eating that carrot, right? I don't have children, by the way, just so y'all know. There's good and bad in everything, especially in blockchain. Absolutely, Big Bri. Absolutely. I've mentioned this before of this audience, but the estimates are there's about 30 million different cryptocurrency projects. And I tell people that 99.99% of them are scams, frauds, and garbage. And it sounds like, oh, well, then it's all a fraud. No, there's actually that 0.01% of 30 million is thousands of legitimate businesses that are really working to change the landscape and the fabric of the financial markets going forward. So it's great. Trump phone will be made where? I don't know. Is he making a phone? China, for sure. Blockchain can have value. Currency is an art investment. Is not real value. Yeah, blockchain is what... Think of blockchain or the protocols of blockchain. So when we talk about protocols for blockchain, let me close this one out here before I hit play on accident and get it going again. If you think of protocols on blockchain, you're thinking of like Cardano, Avalanche, Sui, Solana. Instead of just thinking that those have no tangible value, I want you to think of each one of those as an electrical network, a grid, if you will, and they're decentralized. And that's what gives its value. Because it's decentralized and not controlled by one entity, like all American businesses are, it also allows you to access at any point and build on top of that blockchain. So the infrastructure is really what you're paying for, this digital infrastructure that accesses all these markets around the world. That, to me, is where the value comes in. And I know a lot of people will point at different projects and say, well, there's no intrinsic value. Utility, access, exposure, store of value, monetary transfer, censorship. Those are all things that are a good benefit of decentralization and digital assets. Indigo says, decentralization makes us very unsafe. So many bad actors with no oversight. And Indigo's not wrong. You are right. And I would contend, Indigo, in life, if you meet 1,000 people, are you meeting are they all good? 1,000 people, are they all good people? There might be one or two in there that are bad, maybe more depending on the day or where you're at, right? And I think that's going to be the same no matter what we do. Let's take banks. Let's take our big banks in America. Are they all good? No. There's some bad banks in there, and they go under occasionally. So you're never going to have a perfect system. Where decentralized accelerates and makes it better for you and I is that there is no one person who can censor you. And Indigo will say that's good and bad, and you were right. For the most part, most people are good, for the most part. However, you do get bad actors. I've never seen Ted Lasso. Never seen. I've heard so many good things about it. I should probably try to watch it, but I don't have Apple TV. I'm trying to be the optimist, Indigo, and I think that if I look at the crypto space, certainly for the portfolio that I'm invested in, I like to think that the projects I'm invested in are legitimate, that they are trying to do good for finance and markets going forward. Will there be somebody who finds a way to, do bad things and hold people for ransom with cryptocurrency? I'll release your files if you pay me in Bitcoin. Well, it won't be Bitcoin. It'll be Monero or Zcash or some privacy chain. Will it prevent them from creating devices like mixers to take cryptocurrency and blend them together and hide transactions? No, that'll still be there. So we can't look at a technology and say, well, this technology sucks because there's a bad person using it. I need to look at the spectrum of opportunity and say, if I've got 360 million people in America, and this could help every single one of them, but there's going to be a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 or so that are bad actors trying to scam people, then what I need to do is I need to educate those people so they don't get scammed, so they understand the charlatans and bad things that happen. I don't think we can focus on the bad and stop a whole evolution of finance for it. As we progress, which will be the Clarity Act coming out hopefully next few months, I think that would give us some clarity and set rules around it, and maybe even set some crimes around these fraudsters to prevent it from happening. But we'll never, 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 never get rid of all the bad people in the world. That's just the nature of the beast, right? Big Eb, you asked which this one is. I can't remember off the top of my head. I didn't bring the bottle up with me today. It looks like a rum bottle, but it's just bourbon aged in rum barrels. Pretty cool. Very good. Very good. So anyway, I thought you guys might enjoy that. Let me go into my trade conclusion. I may even wrap up the show early today because I plan on having some fun this weekend. I hope you all do as well. So I showed you yesterday some of the trades that I was in. Let's conclude. Did I see the drop in PLTR? Of course, I saw that one. Here's your Palantir. Pretty significant jump. I didn't see what the news was. It just came up on a filter. I have a filter set for major volume movers that are over 5% in the equity markets. So this one came up on that list. And, I'll look into it over the weekend and see if it does present an opportunity. Because you guys know, when I have a market like this, where you have an aggressive sell-off on extremely high volume, that's panic. That's fear. I love this. And I apologize if I sound so cold or crass or cruel. I'm the type of person that if your car breaks down the side of the road or you're injured, I'm going to stop and help you. It's just what my dad told me, and always help out your fellow man. If you're in the stock market and I'm on the other side of your trade, I'm looking to tear you apart. Sorry, I'm a nice person. I'm a good guy. But when that bell rings, when I have shares open, positions open, contracts open, I'm ruthless, and I don't care about your financial well-being in any way, shape. If you're on the opposite side of my trade, good luck to you, sir and ma'am. Good luck. But I'm pretty sure that I've done my research, and I'm going to be wrong sometimes. But yeah, I'm cold and callous and evil. So this one right here is absolute panic today. Now, it was only 9%. It could have been a lot worse, right? 9% isn't the worst number you had there, but the volume spike is what draws me to it. Typically, where that you get a bounce from that point. So if it wasn't Friday and I wasn't so busy, I would have probably looked and checked and seen at the 120s if I could have gotten some good premium for 120s, because when things fall this fast and high volume, the chaos causes people to jump and run and try to buy puts. They're scrambling to buy puts in that premium surges. We also had a shooting star yesterday on that one as well. I sold a put in that drop at 127. Nice. 127, I think you're probably safe. I don't see it 127 lining up with any demand zones over here. I could probably break apart the chart and do an hourly and find something, but I'd be more for the origin of this big move that went up, but the premium may not have been there. 9%, did it get circuit? No, we'll get. I don't believe it got circuit. Did it get halted? No, I don't think it got halted. I mean, one way you can test and see if it got halted is just go to a 5-minute time frame. Jeez Louise. Look at that drop right on the close. It fell from 137 all the way down to 130, so $7 drop in 5 minutes. Ouch. Brutal. It was pretty much sideways all day, too, after the initial sell-off. But strange-looking chart. But no, it doesn't look like it's halted. You would see gaps there would be dashes in here. Those market on close orders. Maybe. I doubt it. I doubt it was market on close orders. Most people don't use market on close orders. Most active traders are going to be there in front of the screen. Sold puts at 129. All right. Well, you were real close. I hope you sold them right as it got down there because that premium was probably off the charts. Good. So, I'll check that one out next week. I'm in no rush. So let me run through mine just because I know you guys have been asking and, I like to be transparent with you. So yesterday we talked about my MicroStrategy and I had the 400s. If we look at this one real quick, MicroStrategy got to like 399 today. Its high point was, 397.99. Now, it's not a good-looking chart pattern now. It's a shooting star after a little bit of a rally. So that's concerning. So I still own my MicroStrategy. Remember, I've got 300 from 375. I've got 300 from $400. And I've been collecting significant premium along the way. My $400 strikes I sold, I collected $25 worth of premium already. So, and then you add on the last batch. So I'll probably sell we'll see where we open up Monday morning on this. Ideally, we get a nice big gap up over the weekend because Bitcoin rallies, and I'll sell the 420s or 440s and let this thing kind of run because it just feels like it's poised for a rally here. So I still have the MicroStrategy. The United Health. So UNH disappeared. So I put a strike through that. I had let me bring it up here. I had the 307.5, 307.50s is the number that I had there. It closed at 309. So that was taken away from me. It's actually at 307.34 right now. So too bad. I would have kept my UNH, but that's fine. That got taken away, and I'm okay with that. I can look next week and see if I want to sell some more puts there, collect some more premium. Circle. I still have my Circle puts. Now, those are the only long-dated ones I have. I say long-dated. It's for next month, so going all the way out to July. And I've got the 120 puts there. We'll see. I'm not overly confident that we're going to get too far below that, but judging by the trajectory right now and the way it's moving back down, I think there's a very good chance we could be sub 100, which would put me in the money and recoup some of the losses from my previous two Circle trades. Next on my list, HIMS. Oh, yeah, I had HIMS. I had the $40 put. HIMS was one that just got trounced off of a drug deal gone wrong. One of their partners said, nope, you can no longer sell this weight loss drug. And, of course, that crushed them from $65 all the way down to, 42 or 41. So I had the $40 strikes there going below the low point, and those expired worthless. And that was a great one because the premium was very high. As you can imagine, that was done on Monday on this huge gap down and just sold off all day long. I sold those near the end of the day and got some fantastic premium for just 4 days. Loved it. Those are the type of trades I really liked. Really quick trades that generate good returns. HIMS, I'm done with. The MicroStrategy, those $400 call options. I had the $400 strikes. Those are now gone, right? Those expired worthless. So HIMS expired worthless. MicroStrategy expired worthless. SMCI, I had the $40 put. This is the one you look back and you go, why? I'm sure many of you have been in this situation where you're like, why did I do that? Here is SMCI. My $40 strike price was down there. I think this was actually done on Monday as well. And you can see right here when we were down at $40.86, it was like, oh, okay, well, we could get exercised here. And then it rallied all the way up, into almost $50. That's just a crazy rally. And, your mind's going, well, why didn't you just buy it and make more money? I don't think that way. I'm very happy with the rate of return I got on this for 4 days. Fantastic. Next, what do we have that got taken away? Tesla. Oh, Tesla was teasing me today. Tesla was totally teasing me today. It kept bouncing back and forth above the 320 line. So you can see we had this tail down below 320. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm going to own Tesla at 320 at the end of close today. But it rallied back up, closed at 232. So what I'll probably do, we'll see next. We'll see what happens on Monday. Monday's a shorter week, so it's going to be a little different. But I will probably continue to sell puts on Tesla. I'm a long-term believer, but as long as I get the premium that I want for the week, then I will do it, right? To me, it's all about the premium. Even though I like Tesla, I got to put that emotion behind me and focus on the rates of return that I'm looking for, the premium that I want. All right, I'm almost done. Sorry, I don't mean to bore you guys here. UNH. So we already talked about that 307.5 call option. So all my United Health was taken away, which is kind of unfortunate. I really think that UNH is probably going to start its move back up, and I was kind of hoping that my price was a little bit higher than where it was closed today, but no, unfortunately it just got me. And then USO, another great one. This is another panic thing. Not necessarily panic, but the whole Iran issue and the ceasefire, as we tanked on, I think I did this on Tuesday. Yeah, I did on Tuesday after it gapped down again. I was like, okay, I'll sell the 71s. I'm happy with that. That was another very fast rate of return, and I may actually sell that one again next week. Again, it really, you can sell puts next week. Yep, totally, and I will. I'm in no rush. There's really no rush for this. I've used the analogy before many times of the two bulls that are at the top of the hill staring down at the field, and you got the old bull and the young bull. And there's all these cows down there. Apologize, ladies, this might be a little off color, but it is the Trader Merlin show. And the old joke goes, the young bull's like jumping up and down all over the place at the top of the hill, and he turns to the old bull and he goes, oh man, I want that cow. Oh, I want that cow. Oh, I want that cow. I want that cow. And the old bull just looks at the young bull and he says, hey, you can run down there and you can have that one, because I'm going to walk down and I'm going to have them all. And to me, that is like, I feel like kind of my attitude as you get older. Your attitude is trading. I'm just going to take it slow. I have no real rush here. If I miss a trade or two, it's fine. But ultimately, there will be plenty of trades that happen next week. So that is the conclusion of I call this the Trader Merlin account, just because it's what I'm showing on the show. I have several other accounts, and I figured this is just easier to track that one account. But that's what I'll be conveying with you, and I'll let you guys know what happens next week. Again, I only have those two positions open, which is MicroStrategy and Circle. It's kind of funny when you look at so this is done from my app. This is actually through Schwab on my app. I trade through my phone for this account. I have I have to scroll when I have all these options open, right? It's like, oh man, my thumb's getting tired from scrolling through all these things, because it has all these different quotes of the price and the options and all the details. I'm not going to know what to do myself Monday morning. I only got these two little tiny positions in there. All right, Chia says, Merlin, what's your opinion on how the market will be affected by the tariffs on China? You mean the tariffs, right? So, look, I don't know. The real answer is, on July 9th, we know that the reciprocal tariffs are either going to be continued or enforced. And Scott Bessent, Secretary of the Treasury, has already said, we will, President and Scott Bessent, will put those tariffs back on in full to countries that are not negotiating. Okay, so what you'll probably see is maybe one or two countries aren't coming to the table, but I think that ultimately they will extend this. Just as a gut feeling, I think what's going to happen is Trump's going to do something, shock factor again. Let's be honest, guys. It seems like it's been a few weeks of calm, except for the attacking Iran. It seems like a few weeks of calm. That's not the president. That's not Trump's way of doing things. We need some shock. We need some shock to the system. So he will probably come with a heavy hand and talk a lot of smack right around July 9th. We've been really patient with everyone. These countries have not come to negotiate with us. You don't want to negotiate with us? We're not going to negotiate with you. You want to do business in America? Well, then you got to pay the piper. That's just how you have to do it, right? It's going to be his talk track. And then 4, 5, 6 days later, he'll backpedal. We'll come to some agreement. So I would expect that come July 9th, let's bring up the S&P 500 here. Let's put a line. It's already on there. There's your July 9th. All right. My guess is that we're ripping all-time highs now. It wouldn't surprise me to see a continuation next week. But I do think as we get towards that week of July 9th, so not this week, or not this upcoming week, but the week after, I do believe you'll see some more downside move in the market. So I'll let you know next week when we get there how that's going to transpire. Obviously, I'm not going to do a show Thursday or Friday, just because it's a half day on Thursday, it's a day off on Friday, so you guys will have to fend for yourself on the half day. And let's be honest, you shouldn't trade a half day anyway. But my gut instinct tells me that I will probably scale back my trades or not have anything open just as a precautionary note, right? Right now I've got a fairly long bias. All my trades are long. So what I don't want to do is get caught on a big Trump panic speech like he did in April. Ideally, what I have is a lot of dry powder that day So if he says something shocking, if he threatens China or Canada or Mexico again, and the market tanks 3 or 4 or 5%, now I can go in much heavier at way lower prices and get better premiums. So I'll probably take the week of the 9th, extremely careful, probably be more in cash, waiting for it to happen. All right. Lisa says, I had to come in from the garden where I on my hands and knees, pulling weeds and, love it. Thanks for coming in. What, did you lose your gardeners? We were just talking about how we all lost our gardeners. I don't think it'll be a speech, Tofi. I don't think it'll be a speech. It's just going to be a statement made by the president. And maybe he does a press conference where he says, today, July 9th is when that's supposed to happen. July 9th will be when that happens. So at least that's what they've said. You never know with this administration. They could change it at any time. That's right. Pick them strawberries, Lisa. Oh, that's fun. I don't have to read the book, The Art of the Deal. I know all how... Yes. I do too, Lisa. It's funny because I taught a class this morning from 6 o'clock till 7:30 in the morning on crypto. And then I went outside and I was like, I got to get rid of this plant in my front yard. So I'm out there in pajamas just ripping a tree out because I like doing yard work as well. It's therapeutic. I should send a picture, guys, of my backyard. I mean, you know what? I will take that picture for you guys on Monday. I know we totally digressed here. I have this long strip of dirt along the back fence because I had 50 feet of bamboo and I had it all removed and just I need the ground to settle and refertilize before it gets going. So it's just dirt. And there's a bunch of power lines above it. Well, I'm always trying to pull weeds and keep on top of things. I look and I go, that's not a weed. I know what that is. That's a sunflower. It was a really tall, stocky thing. I'm like, And then I notice over here that's a tomato plant. That's weird. So I'm guessing that the birds have eaten sunflowers and tomatoes and pooped them out. And now I have on my fence, there were probably 5 or 6 sunflowers and 3 big tomato plants. So I got some more sunflowers and I covered the whole fence line. I have 15-foot tall sunflowers that go for about 25 feet in my backyard. It's great. It's so cool. Unfortunately, sunflowers die rather quickly. The birds love it, but it's a really cool sight. So I'll take a picture of you guys on over the weekend. Check that one out. Yeah, it is. It's not a free garden. It's a lot of work, but I've had sunflowers before, and I've had some that are 10, 12 feet, but these ones are wow tall. Really. Ken says roast them. Yeah, the only problem is these aren't the big jumbo ones you get. For those of us who used to play baseball, you're chewing on sunflower seeds. Those are the monster ones. These ones aren't. They're a lot smaller than that, but maybe. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, thank you for allowing me to digress and talk about my sunflowers, which I plant, pull, harvest, water, trim all by myself. The chipmunks would climb up my sunflower. Yep, they do here too. All right, fine. On Monday's show, I'll do a little bit of gardening. I have, for those of you who are into gardening and like growing things, you can go to Home Depot and Lowe's and you can buy little packets of seeds. So you can buy an heirloom pack of tomato seeds and it's $3.50. Stop doing that. We went to the farmer's market and I grabbed a yellow heirloom tomato, a nice, really beautiful heirloom tomato, as well as a red heirloom tomato. And I sliced them like you would on a hamburger, very thin slices. And I literally took the round slice and I put it in a small pot and covered it with dirt. Within a week, I had 80 sunflowers in each of those pots, or not sunflowers, 80 tomato plants in each of those pots. So I've been giving them to all kinds of people. My neighbor's got a bunch. You guys might know Todd Davis of Trading Academy. I gave him some, and one tomato will get you hundreds and hundreds of tomato plants. So don't ever buy the seeds. There you go. What else do we have to talk about here as we wrap up? Any other last minute questions you guys want? Yes, there you go. We'll do a garden montage over the weekend. You could probably just put it in the Discord group, VB. We'll make the garden channel in the Discord room to post your vegetation. It's California, so I'm pretty sure some of you guys will be posting pictures of your pot plants, but that's okay. Margaret says, talk about Bitcoin versus USD. Sure, let's do that. Let's do a comparison chart, shall we? And, I keep my Amish tomatoes. Amish tomatoes? Do they have sideburns and a little hat, or how do you know they're Amish tomatoes? Do they not like electricity? They're just hey, sun only. Don't bring over that electrical heat lamp. I want real sun. What is an Amish tomato? I've never heard of an Amish tomato. Okay, there you go. Love it. think Lisa, you have the power to create a channel. You can create a group there and just do a little garden channel. That'd be pretty funny. Okay, sorry. Let's go to dollar index, and I'll throw. Where's my Dixie? There we go. Dollar index, and I'm gonna get rid of some of these lines. I've got quite a few of them drawn here. I'll get that one gone. This demand zone is now gone, and let's add on top of this BTC USD, just to have Bitcoin on top of it. All right. So here is how, from a percentage, these guys compare. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. So for those of you who are like, oh, well, Bitcoin's a scam, it's a fraud. Look, if anything's a fraud, it's the US dollar. So the black line here represents Bitcoin in percentage, in a price appreciation or depreciation of that asset class. So if we go back to, let's just do the beginning of the year. Here's from the beginning of the year. The dollar is down 10.5%. 10.5% the dollar has dropped. That means your global purchasing power has dropped by 10%. That sucks. Whereas Bitcoin is up 12.8%. That's a 22% delta change. And this is why so many people are looking at Bitcoin as not as an alternative to cash, but it's more of a store of value. And I could select, honestly, any time frame, and Bitcoin is going to hold up better than the dollar. And I think that over time will continue because we have just the devaluing of the dollar through printing, through inflation. Yeah, the dollar is going to continue to go down. So as far as being a relationship, I don't really see one. It seems to me like the dollar is just continually going down, and Bitcoin, while it has massive fluctuations, continues to go up. Right now, as Rob says, and others in here, yeah, it is basing right at 107. The good news is that Bitcoin hasn't really been making new lows, right? It just really feels like it's stuck sideways, whereas the dollar is making new lows and keeps drifting lower and lower and lower and lower. So, again, I love my country. I know we have a lot of flaws, and hopefully we can fix a lot of that stuff and make us a better country overall. But the dollar, this is what's historically happened since 1913. This dollar just drifts lower and lower and lower. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of that dollar index, at least for right now. Dixie's down and dropping some more, right, Rob? We talked about this the other day. If I take Bitcoin out of here and look at them separately, we were really focusing on this lower level right around 90, 97, 90, yeah, right around 98. We bounced off that, and now we're officially below it. So to me, this is, as John would say, it's a bug in search of a windshield. Not good. And if we make this much longer term, here's a 6-month chart of it. This goes all the way back into the 1960s. In the 1960s, when this index started tracking it, we are currently down only 18%. Not bad. But, you had one small period in the 80s when this was really high. Other than that, the dollar is not a store of value. Whereas, of course, this is an unfair comparison. But I throw on Bitcoin here in that same window of time, and it's just pretty much done nothing but go up, barring some very significant pullbacks along the way. So I'm a believer, as I mentioned before, that this volatility that you see here on Bitcoin will slow down over time. The more people that have Bitcoin in their hands, in their wallets, in their accounts, in their Coinbase, the more you dilute ownership, the less likely an individual or a whale is going to manipulate the market and cause it to go wild. So this will be a good thing going forward. It's interesting hearing people like Ray Dalio has even flipped, although he has said, if I see everybody in the world using it, then I'll believe in it. I'm like, okay, Ray, that's a little bit of a stretch. But statistically, it's like less than a fraction of a percentage of the global population is using Bitcoin. And it's already at $100,000. What happens if we got to just 5% of the global population is using it? Now you're talking $1 million. What happens if we get to 15, 20%? To me, there's so much potential there. Novice and newbies all still chasing price it up. Look, we go back to that Bitcoin price chart on a daily. Let's go back to what Big Ed was talking about, which was sideways action here. Yeah, it doesn't look great. I'll be honest, I was getting a little bit of nervousness here on the 22nd and 23rd because we dipped down below kind of a key level. We hadn't been below for a couple months, but it's still holding. Now, it is in a downward channel. If I go to the futures, because I have it mapped out, you do have a channel here. It's fairly clear, and we have respected that downward sloping channel. So I don't, as they say, everything will remain the same way until it changes. So for right now, it's just, my guess is you might see a little bit of a downside move here, but if we break above that downtrending red line, we've got a couple simple obstacles. We break that first trend line, then all of a sudden you're looking about 111. After that, you've got all-time highs. After that, you're off to the races. Is it a bull flag till it breaks out above? Yeah, I think so, Rob. We talked about this the other day, and I do think on a daily it doesn't quite look the same as a bull flag because it's not as steep, but if you change this to like a weekly, then it really becomes kind of a much clearer, real big impulse. There are some analysts that would say the flag has gone on too long, right? They'll say, well, the number of bars in the flag portion should never be more than the amount of bars in the pole. I don't know if I necessarily buy that. I agree with you, Margaret. It still looks bullish, and of course, I'm going to have some air of bias here because I am very bullish on Bitcoin. But how can you not call that bullish? This is still an uptrend. It's a weekly uptrend that is still intact. Higher highs, higher lows. So yeah, I'm definitely bullish. I think a lot of people are making too much out of this sideways consolidation because it's not doing anything. And I am personally questioning it. Like, why are we not seeing a much bigger move to the upside based off all this great news that's happening? I don't know. I wish I had that answer. But I think that grand scheme of things, especially when you hear what Trump said today, all the different new Bitcoin treasuries popping up and now competing to buy more and more Bitcoin, at a certain point, these dealer windows, this OTC marketplace that they magically get Bitcoin from, they're going to run out. There's only 21 million Bitcoin available. A lot of it is locked up in accounts and we can track it. So at a certain point, these people are going to be buying either fake Bitcoin, meaning someone is selling them a promise that to deliver the Bitcoin and they're not actually getting it, or they're paying a much higher price for that Bitcoin. And I think that that'll be the catalyst for between now and November. Atticus says, what's your opinion on IBIT versus BITO? I wouldn't touch BITO with a 10-foot pole. Garbage. And, what you're getting is a product that is doing all sorts of shenanigans, if you will, on the back end to generate yield for you and pay you a dividend. So if you look at BITO, all these little D's at the bottom, and people are like, oh, it pays a dividend. That's great. Does this track the price of Bitcoin? Yes or no, guys? Remember, this is supposed to be a Bitcoin ETF. It says right at the top, ProShares Bitcoin ETF. It absolutely does not track the price of Bitcoin. It's way off. BTC USD. Look at the price comparison between these two. You can see the dividends getting sucked out of the price. If you go to the beginning of this year, BITO is down 9.25% and Bitcoin is up 10.5%. Well, you better hope that each one of these little D's adds up to fill that gap. And I don't believe it does. Because you have fees, there's transaction costs, there's contango. Remember, this is on futures. So when you have a futures product, there's contango, backwardation, rollover, and transaction cost. So no, I wouldn't touch BITO, the 10-foot pole. I would leave it alone. I would go with IBIT. Now let me go back here and show you IBIT. Remember, IBIT is BlackRock's, and IBIT buys Bitcoin. Here is BTC USD in black over the top of it. And you can't tell me which one's which. That's spot on. They're lockstep here. So I would use IBIT. And again, I mentioned I have another account, which I'm not giving you weekly updates on it, but I'll certainly include it as I do my annual review of all my accounts. I have an account that I'm just doing that wheel strategy on IBIT. That's it. I have one position in there, or one symbol with, the shares depend on the account balance, but yeah, that's it. Will there ever be a day when Bitcoin ETF pay a dividend in Bitcoin? As long as they can get it approved by regulators, I don't see why not, Oliver. If you look at Coinbase's new credit card, which is only for their Prime members, earn up to 4% Bitcoin back on every purchase. So it's similar, right? They're not paying a dividend. They're just giving you a reward. back in Bitcoin, which is pretty cool. I like it. I just don't like paying annual fees for cards. So here is, this is the Genesis block of Bitcoin on the front there. Pretty cool. Big Eb says, Beto shows a 50% dividend. I call BS. Yeah, well, you call BS, but hold on. Let's do it. Way to extend the show, Big Eb. I'm like, I'll do a half-hour show today. Damn you, Big Eb. That's it. When are we going to get a beer? I still owe you a beer. So let's go to Beto. I think I owe you beer or two. Am I at two? Okay, so let's go all the way back to June of last year. So I need to do this separately. I'm going to go 1.768. I'm adding up the dividends for the last year. Oh, this is going to take forever. 1.5 plus, sorry, I'm going to try to talk at the same time. 1.47. I should have just had them read them out and let you guys type it in to calculate it all for me. Let's see, we're there. I am now at 1.2. That's for September. 1.2. How about I move this over here so it's on the same screen? Okay, plus. There you go. Now you guys can see a little bit better. Sorry about that. I love how you guys called it the taco. The Trump always chickens out, and it's so funny. All right, this one is 109. So we go 1.09. We're at $7 already for the year. This is 99 cents. So we add that one. We go plus 0.99. I'm getting there. We're back to December. That's 99 cents again. Oops. Okay. See if I can add these up quicker in my head. $1.13 plus 93 is going to be $2. And we'll call it $2.10. I'm rounding up. $2.10, $2.80, $3.20, $3.70, $4.70. Okay, so we had another $4.70 plus 4 point. So that's $13.76 worth of dividend payments that they've made in the last year. And that's when this security was trading at, I'll go back to June. $25. So yeah, 57% dividend. Sounds crazy, Big Eb. And to me, it's too good to be true. The challenge is this is a futures product again. And things are working fine right now, and people all are pointing the fingers and, oh yeah, you got to buy this, you got to buy this. I'm not a fan. I'm gonna go with IBIT, and because that's actually owns Bitcoin. Remember, Beto owns no Bitcoin, not one. There's not one Bitcoin backed in Beto. It is all futures products. I'm with Big Eb. I'm a purist. If I'm going to buy an ETF, I at least want to buy something that holds Bitcoin and is audited, and that would be IBIT. Now, there's other ones. Fidelity also has a spot Bitcoin ETF, but I would only use spot Bitcoin ETFs. It does not track the futures either. Oh, Beto? Yeah, because it's taking out the dividend payment. But to me, what's the magic behind the curtain there, Margaret, is that the dividend payment helps mask the lack of correlation. Because remember, you could have the price of natural gas has been moving up, let's say, but UNG, which is a futures product, could be going down because the backwardation or contango of those futures products. Because as soon as, let's say the contract ends for September, and they have to go buy the October contract, but it's already pricing in higher prices, they miss out on those gains. So you're going to underperform historically by using a futures product. So yeah, if you want to go for it, for me, not a chance. I will do spot Bitcoin ETFs all day long. There you go. So Big Eb says he's got Fidelity, FBTC, and an IRA account in addition to Bitcoin. Is it just because it's at Fidelity? Is your retirement at Fidelity, or the IRA at Fidelity? I like the fact that Fidelity self-custodies as well, right? So Fidelity holds their own Bitcoin. BlackRock does not. BlackRock is using Coinbase. Yeah, that's why. And that's fine. I mean, FBTC, if you were to do the same comparison that we just did and just did FBTC, so there is Fidelity's Bitcoin. One thing that always makes me nervous is the volume, but you look at FBTC, they're fine. At 2 million a day, that's okay. It's not great. If you look at IBIT, IBIT just today alone, you're talking 35 million shares traded. So IBIT is the king leader, but as long as you got a couple million shares traded a day, you're fine. Now, if you want to look at the comparison here, let's add on BTC USD, and you'll notice that these are lockstep, right? They're right on each other. So there you go. There you go. Okay, let me wrap this up so I can get out of here. Wow, we're already a 1 hour show. How does this always happen? I'm always like, yeah, I'll do a short one today, and here we go. It's the problem that I love financial markets and like talking about this stuff. That's the curse. It's the curse for me. All right, Monday. Let me bring up your calendar here so we can see what's happening. Monday is the final day of the month, so we can finally tabulate our results for the month of June. From a technical or from a data perspective, not a lot of really important stuff here. You notice when you look at Forex Factory, they color code these ones, right? They color code them, and there's an orange where you have President Lagarde speaking for the ECB. For the U.S., you just have the Chicago PMI numbers and a couple of FOMC members, but that's pretty much it. So nothing really that exciting, and there's no company that's noteworthy reporting earnings on Monday either. So that's it. I am going to wrap up. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. I almost finished this wonderful whiskey. I'll let you know what it is, Big Eb. It's a delicious one. It's funny. It sat on my shelf for the longest time. And what happened is my buddy bought it for my birthday, and I thought it was a bottle of rum because it has the shape of a rum bottle. I'm like, I'm not a big rum fan. I'll have it, but he told me, he goes, no, have you tried it? I go, no, he goes, it's not rum. It's whiskey. It's bourbon. I'm like, what? Here it is. Cheers, Tyler. Thanks for the whiskey if you're watching. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for me. Have a fantastic weekend. Go do something fun. I will see you for a shortened week next week. We'll do show Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday off. So I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Thank you guys for the support. If you guys are new, hit that like, subscribe button. If you don't like it, email me and tell me why you didn't and what you want to see me talk about next week. Take care, everyone.